I'm back. Welcome and welcome. I'm Lena. Welcome to my channel. Here we are with another review on Sex and the City, the series, season 2, episode 15, Shortcomings. I am smiling because this is actually one of my favorite episodes of season 2. I didn't actually do one of my favorite episodes on season 1. I'll do that at the end when we finish season 2. I'll give you which one was my favorite in season 1 and which is what my favorite in season 2. But right now, this is the front runner. This one was written by someone new again, Terry Minsky. I don't remember saying her name at all in any of the previous ones, but we're going to do a round out when we finish this series of how many of my favorites were written by whom. Because Darren is going to be leaving very soon. It's going to be really focusing on Michael Patrick King and some other writers. But this was one of my favorite ones. And coming off of the last one, which was the F Buddy, which irritated the crap out of me. And thank you for all who watched it and pretty much agreed with me. It was not one of my favorites. And I was in a very bad mood. I'm in a much better mood now. I'm still pissed off about the CVS and a few other things that I'm going to go on a rant on a separate video. You wait for that. It's coming. I just need to woosah my patience a little before I go on a rant on that. But we are here. So let's set the scene up. Okay. The scene is opening with Miranda, who is working out in her gym. And the gym, of course, is New York Sports Club. Now, how do you think I know this? Because every single person in this damn gym is wearing the same t-shirt. I can only presume that this was a product placement sponsorship, which back in 1999, most of us didn't even realize. So as Carrie narrates that one of the biggest fears that she has, well, most fears for most people is swim season. There's one other thing that they mentioned, and the fact that there is Children's Day at the gym. Now, I say this hesitantly because I went to the gym. I was religious at the gym. I was a gym girl. I know it's shocking. BC, before child, and AD, after child. You know what I mean. And I don't remember any of my gyms allowing children to be running around on the gym floor. You could bring them and they would have like a little nursery area for them, but I would think that's kind of dangerous. I really don't recall that at all. And I found it very odd, this scene of all these kids poking people, running around with people dropping weights. I'm like, was this a thing? Do you guys remember this at all? Does your gym have Children's Day? It just doesn't seem like a very insurance safe environment. And I remember this specifically because I know that you weren't allowed to have kids on the gym floor. So I don't know if this was specific to New York Sports Club, but even if it was, and even if you have it at your gym, that doesn't seem safe. They can get hurt. There's some crazy people in the gym. Have you been there? You don't even have to be there. Have you opened up an app and watched some of these physical fitness people? They're a little scary. I'm just saying. So she is trying to run out of there like a bat out of hell because she just got poked by a kid, obviously. And as she's going into the elevator, you meet the father and very disrespectful child waiting in the elevator. And he says, "Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it." And she's like, "Is there a problem?" And he's like, "Oh, it's because my son really likes to touch the buttons." And she's like, "Okay, fine. I'm in a rush. Can you press 1?" Of course, the child presses all the buttons and she kind of sounds upset, which is okay. I just find this whole scene with her very funny and everything that happens after, because back then we didn't know what was going to happen to Miranda, but this sounded about right. This sounded about the way she should react. This sounded like a Miranda thing. And so you know what happens. It's funny how the tides change after you have a child. I'm just saying. So he's flirting, saying, "Oh, the very pretty girl wants to, go to the first floor, and, the son is being, macriao. Macriao in English means disrespectful." And, he's trying to explain why his kid is being the way that he is. And this whole thing is being led up to the fact that she's trying to get out of the elevator. He asks her, "Hey, can I convince you to come up, take another ride with me?" And apparently because he said that she was pretty, she decided to go up on another elevator ride. And during this said elevator ride, he asked her out on a date. Now we get into the diner scene where Miranda has exclaimed to the girls that she doesn't dress vintage. She hates flea markets and she doesn't like antiquing. Can she not have her men be not used? It's like chewing gum, somebody else's gum. As Samantha chimes in and says, maybe we should round up all these men and put them in a pound because that way that we can know their history before we take them out. Since I cannot ask you all, because we're not live, to say, do you want me to put what I feel now or later in the epilogue? I'm just going to presume that you all want me to say it now. Now. No. Well, let's just say that it was back in 1999 and I already had my son. And my girlfriends are with me and they all have children. Now, they were all in relationships. I was not. And it's not to say that it is not completely true how people feel. Because some people do feel that way, that, single parents, having a child. I was, let me put it this way. I was already used to many people having children without parents, full parents. The person that I dated for 10 years that broke my heart, that sent me into a panic attack, that I thought I was dying, that I went to the doctor. You know that one, the one that I talked about a few episodes? When I met him, he was already divorced and he had 2 children. So, and I was single and I didn't have any children. My son wasn't born yet. So I didn't have those feelings, oh my God, he's used, or it's like chewing somebody else's gum. I'm going to tell you that I was 25 when I had my son and I had already friends that had 10-year-olds because unfortunately, when I was growing up in my high school years, a lot of girls got pregnant in school and they were babies having babies. I can't tell you if that's what's happening now. I'm not in that cultural zeitgeist anymore. I presume that it may have changed. I know my son tells me it's not like that as much before, but it was an epidemic when I was growing up. So I was already accustomed to that. And, we were all pretty much desensitized. I think people outside of that circle, who doesn't understand growing up like that would probably feel the way that Miranda felt. And it's interesting how she feels that way. And it's great that they brought it up from a woman's perspective. It's not great what she said at all. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It's just that it was very customary for men to feel that way about women and single mothers, from what my experience was. Only because when my son was born and I had gotten out of the relationship that almost killed me, I was dating another guy and my son had to be like 6 years old or something like that. And I remember my son was not as disrespectful as this child at all. None of my friends' children were like that. They didn't have that potty mouth at all. Or just that whole aura about them, right? So I was dating someone and he overheard us getting into an argument, my son, and he didn't like the way he spoke to me. And my son came out of nowhere, little 6-year-old child, please understand, little boy. And he's like, don't you talk to my mother that way, ever. That was the first time I've ever heard my son clap back at anybody. Needless to say, the relationship didn't work out. You think? And I took to heart what my son did. I was like, nope, my son's a little protector. He ain't playing. He ain't playing. So watching this, not knowing back then what Miranda was going to go through, listening to that, and my friends were like, wow, that's really sad that you feel that children are baggage. I've heard this before. I've had an employer say this to me once. Needless to say, I didn't stay at that job either. I just don't see children as being baggage or just somebody else's gum. I just, everybody has their own way of feeling. In my opinion, it's just, when there's so many people who are trying to have children, right? So many children who need to have families, and there are people who adopt, I just, I just don't. So I'm giving you a mix of what I felt back then and how I still feel now when I watch this episode, which is funny. Because the next thing that comes out of Charlotte's mouth is, divorced men are not that bad. Take my brother Wesley. He's getting a divorce from his wife Leslie. And Samantha's like, whoa, Wesley and Leslie? Yeah, I don't think so. And she literally says it that way. Terry, this writer, made this scene extremely funny. Kudos to you. It was difficult to listen to about the Miranda Chronicles, but there's something about this that made it very funny. And, Charlotte was offended. She's like, I was going to have all of you meet him because he's very important to me. But, now that you're making fun of it. And then Carrie's like, oh, we are all going to meet him. Wesley and Leslie. And by the way, does he work for Nestle? I was like, they delivered the lines very well. And she's like, I'm not going to introduce you if I'm going to be subject to ridicule. And oh my God, if I can remember the next one. You know what? I'm going to put the clip because I'm going to try to do the voice clip. So listen to the voice clip of what happens.
I'm going to have them subject to scrutiny and ridicule. I'll be scrutiny. You be ridiculed. I always have to be ridiculed. What can you be ridiculed for? I know.
And we're back. So listen, it was a very good scene. It was very funny. The one thing that struck me greatly was the fact that apparently now we get to meet Wesley, who's very important to Charlotte as her brother, and we never see him again. Ever. Not in any of her weddings. So I thought we were going somewhere, and when I revisited this several times, I always asked, whatever happened to Wesley? I know what happened to Leslie, but I don't know whatever happened to Wesley. And, I always felt that there was a family dynamic missing. And I understand that the girl is supposed to be somebody's family. Yeah, got it. Get it. But I think they took this to the extreme. Just a little bit. I could be wrong. Y'all will tell me in the opinions section down below in the comments. Okay, we're still setting up the scene. Okay. The next scene we have is Carrie is walking on one of her blocks, brownstone blocks, and she's meeting, this guy named Vaughn, who in other words is Justin Trudeau, which is Jennifer Anderson's ex-husband, and also has made an appearance in season 1 as a douchebag with Stanford. And when this is the guy that, Carrie was trying to make Big jealous so she could meet him out in the park. Y'all know. Y'all went through this ride with me. I don't know if there's been any other actors that have come back to Sex and the City playing 2 different characters. I know that we are in the, what is it called? The people coming in, guest stars. We're getting into the guest stars side of Sex and the City. We're going to see a lot more famous guest stars. Justin was not still too popular back then, but he did show up this is the second time. I don't believe he comes back, but I don't remember anybody else coming back as another character. Or I know that the last one from the F Buddy that, someone cleared up for me that he is the chlamydia guy that we're going to get into when we are in season 3, I believe. So he comes back, but it's not a different character. So she is walking and meeting him, and I just don't like the way he looks. He's not attractive to me. I can't explain it. Not in this scene, and not in the scene that he was in season 1. I've seen pictures of him after he got married with Jennifer, and he seems more attractive, but and the feet and the shoes that he's wearing, the sandals, and no. Yeah, okay. So, he's all gussied up about the fact that he's going to be asked to be heading a GQ magazine, not as writing as, on the cover. And they're just talking crap. And he says that he has to stop off at his mom's house to drop off some books that he has in his hands. And they stop in front of the brownstone that Carrie admires. And he says, yeah, come up for a minute. And she's like, what are you, crazy? What are you, nuts? I'm not dressed for meeting parents. And first of all, in my head, I'm like, do we know you? Why do they insist to jump the gun? I don't know this guy. I cannot tell you how irritating that is. And if someone is telling, if they're narrating to us that she doesn't really know him that well, that now she's going to meet the parents, red flag, red flag, red flag, danger, 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 danger. Mm-hmm. Hence the shortcomings. As she agrees to pop upstairs, we are greeted with one of my favorite actresses, Valerie Harper. May she rest in peace. One of the original Mary Tyler Moore, Rhoda. Now, characters. Now, Rhoda was more of my mother's generation, but it was always on. Still have the song in my head. And I remember being dragged in the winter snow, running home to catch Rhoda getting married. It was a big event. It was an event. So Mary Tyler Moore and that whole thing was more my mom. And I've tried watching the show. I even have, I think, season 1 on DVD because I really wanted to get into it because that is a certain generation that's nostalgic to me. I was not old enough to appreciate it. It was more, like I said, my mom's generation. But I do understand the significance of it. And I've tried to watch it and I haven't been able to really get into it. I know it gets better, again, because I remember it playing in the background. But I still have to get past season 1, and I know now it's on streaming. And one of these days when I'm feeling, I don't know, nostalgic, it's for my memories, like the corners of my mind. Did I tell you I was going to stop singing? I lied. So one of these days when I'm alone and I'm like feeling that way, I think I'm just going to try to get through season 1 and try to finish the seasons, just because, you know, I don't have my mom and I don't have my grandmother, and I would love to know what the world was like back then, what the world needs now. I'm in a good mood. You can tell, right? There's no reason for it. No, I'm almost done packing. That's the reason. Do you know how hard it is to pack by yourself? It's a pain in the ass. Okay. So we get to meet Valerie Harper, who happens to be Vaughn's mom. And she introduces herself, Carrie, and she says, do I know you from somewhere? And she goes, I don't think so. She goes, I'm Carrie Bradshaw. And of course, as we all know, Valerie, I'm going to call her Valerie because I can't remember her name, gets all excited. Oh my God, I follow your column. You're such a da-da-da. I'm like, oh God, here we go with the freaking sex column. Everybody loves Carrie. And she calls out for her husband to come out and says, look, it's Carrie from the columnist that we enjoy. And he's like, what are you doing this weekend? And she's like, laundry. He goes, I want you to come and speak at Columbia University, for some cultural zeitgeist. I think you do well. They're all fawning over her as if she was the second coming of Christ. And I'm like, you know, it's a column, not a book, not a novel. Not a Pulitzer Prize winner. It's a column. Sex. But they all love it because they're all crazy. This is how it leads into what the hell is going on with Vaughn and his shortcomings. Mm-hmm. If I would have known then what I know now, I would have been understanding what's happening in the scene. But I know now, so I can really make, a joke about it. So as, they're fawning all over her and she is considered a cultural icon. Vaughn is trying to leave because, he only stopped by to drop off the books that he signed for her because he has a book. She's like, no, let's stay. Of course, she'll stay because it's all about Carrie. And when everybody is all about Carrie, she'll do anything to stay around the bubble of Carrie, the Carrie bubble. Wow. This really leads into, and just like that, they really kept her narcissism intact. Good job. So the next scene we have is now Miranda, who was bitching and moaning about somebody else's gum dating and walking through Central Park, which whenever they do Central Park, it warms my heart. So she's on the date with said day old gum, and child. And he's apparently a very single parent because I don't remember hearing anything about a wife or boy being widowed. And as they're walking and talking and making funnies and flirting, the kid hits Miranda with a branch because he has no control or self-control. And, they sit down at the park bench and, Miranda is asking, you must be hard being a single parent. I'm like, oh, if you only knew. On so many levels. Because let's be realistic, she was never really a single parent, but she was somebody else's used gum. We're getting there. So now we have him, asking, yeah, it's really hard. And, they're just doing really stupid conversations, nothing earth shattering for me to want to recall. It's just, they're setting the stage up for him asking her out to dinner and her accepting it. What really perplexed me about this is like, if you don't do antiquing, you don't wear vintage clothes and you hate flea markets and you think that he's used somebody else's gum, then why the hell did you accept the second date? Then just don't go. Like, I didn't like this at all. Like, don't lead someone on. If you already have reservations and you already have problems with this, then don't do that to someone and just be like, I just can't do it. Just don't have to tell them why. Be like, no, that's, I have a boyfriend. That's what irritated me about this. It's like, why do you lead people on? Why would you talk shit like that? And there's a lot of shit talking that happens in people's backs. We're going to get to the part why I really enjoyed this episode. So let's set up the next scene before we do, part two. Wesley's in Charlotte's home and she's baking him grandma's muffins to cheer him up. Now, as much as I get on Charlotte because she plays her, I'm a space cadet, which is, no, that's the word. I don't want to say blonde because I think blonde, saying that she's a ditz, because saying someone is blonde, I think it's just not right. Because I know a lot of blonde women who are highly intelligent. Okay. I would like to go blonde one day, but I don't have the money, means, and I'm scared. I don't know what I would look like. Just saying. So, ditzy, the Charlotte way. What I am not going to take away from Charlotte is that the woman cooks. She cooks, she bakes, and they run that through her entire personality, even up and through, and just like that. And because I love to cook for other people, not myself, I do respect that. So as she's made these muffins for her brother to cheer him up, she is very confused because, she's telling him, I don't understand why you can't make it out. You can't make it work with Leslie. Marriage is so hard. You have to work at it, honey. And this is the second part I do like about Charlotte's character and how they wrote her. She's right. And not only is she right, she does stick it. Okay, not so much with Trey, but Trey's another reason. With Harry, we don't get to see the 22-year stuff that happened between the series, the movies, and in Just Like That. But in Just Like That, they go through it. It's not easy. They could have easily said the hell with you, And I give that character and how they wrote her a lot of respect, because for all my married people out there who watch me, Me, not so much. I don't have success in relationships and marriage. I don't have success in relationship and marriages. I think there's a support group for that. And I'm very tranquila. Tranquila means I'm tranquil. I'm good. I really am. But I admire couples who stick it out. Because I know, just being in the 10-year almost killed me relationship and my marriage that could have ended in murder. Shh, don't say that out loud. Shh. It was not easy. There's a lot of compromising. There is no such thing as 50-50. There isn't. There's you and you hoping and hoping and shooting for, well, at least from my experience. Let's not get into that. It's a good time. So the fact that she's acknowledging that and he's telling her that, listen, it's not going to work out, and she's like, well, I don't understand why. And he's like, when was the last successful relationship that you have been in? And she just stayed there stumped. We set the scene. Now, let's put this shit soup together, because now we get into part 2 and the nitty gritty of how this all plays out between all of them. Because there's a lot of coming in this shortcoming. Oh, did I say that wrong? Hey, if you like what you're watching, do me a favor. When you have a chance, because if you haven't, other than my loyal subscribers who I love you, subscribe. And stay tuned. Part 2. Part 2. Let's bring this shortcoming soup to a boil. 6 hours later, as Carrie narrates, of foreplay of being fawned over by Vaughn's family, they're in Carrie's kitchen, her and Vaughn, and they're attacking each other like two bears in a forest. And, as they're trying to get it on, apparently, as Carrie approaches him too quickly, he lets the soup boil overboard. I don't know how to make a reference that's cleaner than that. You see you see what's happening here. So, Carrie doesn't know what to do, and she just gives him a tissue, and it's one of the most uncomfortable scenes, which, makes him less attractive to me. It doesn't help at all. Next scene we have is that she's eating, I don't know, brunch with, Samantha and with Miranda, and Samantha is like, honey, if he can't get his Cadillac in the driveway, you need to dump him. And Carrie's like, hey, and Miranda's trying to defend it. Hey, you don't know. Maybe he was nervous. And Carrie's like, yeah, we just spent 6 hours with his family. Blah, 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 blah. The whole thing is that Samantha's like, no, because she is the czar of sex. She will not send her troops out there unless they're ready. So Carrie's like, but I really like him. And Samantha's like, yes, but he can't cream your cupcake. What the hell? This writing is hilarious. She goes, but the problem is that I really like his family more. And Samantha's answer to that is, well, is there somebody there you can F? And everybody's looking at her. She's like, hey, I'm trying to help. I love you, Samantha. I love you. I want you to be my best friend. I think I have a crush on Samantha. Just putting it out there. Just letting you know. I might have a crush on Samantha. Or at least I want her to be my BFF. I need a BFF like that. Okay? So Carrie expresses that, it's just that they have charisma. They're like the Tom Cruise of families. Whenever you start to put in these kind of allegories or families or name dropping or famous people, I think moving forward, we should all be very careful, because the last thing that anybody wants to be now is Tom Cruise family. But nobody knew that back then. We all thought he was relatively, well, he was Tom Cruise. Sane? No. Thank God I never had a crush on him. So, one of the things that struck me in this conversation is Samantha says, I once effed a boy because he had a pool. And I used to go over there, all cocoa buttered up. And his mom loved me because she fed me Kool-Aid and Doritos. And Carrie's expression, she was like, Kool-Aid? She goes, yes, I was 13 years old. And you should have seen my tan. And we never bring this up again. Are we going to skip over the fact that Samantha was 13 years old effing a boy? There's an episode that's coming where she is faced with another girl that age doing things that she shouldn't be doing at that age. And she feels that she should tell her not do that. I found this one statement that everybody just skips over. So she's having relations at 13. I found that very odd to make a statement. She could have said 16. I know I was a boy and I understand that, but wow. Jesus. So the next scene we have is now Carrie is out with Vaughn's mom, and they're having another. Everybody's eating in this episode for some reason, and as they're one of the things that Carrie's like is like she wants to be around the family, the mom, obviously, because she needs a mom. That's what I took from this entire scene, because as she is fawning over Valerie, I'm going to call her Valerie because that's the actress's name. She's just so mesmerized by the fact of how many lives that she's lived, and she can't get her own one life together. And Valerie is pumping her up saying, oh, don't give me that self-effacing stuff. I see you. And she's like, who am I? I'm just somebody that writes a small column. Well, thank you for that, Carrie. But in all respect to Valerie, she does tell her, it doesn't matter. You're making a contribution. You're adding to the world. And you know what? I got it. Because that's how I feel about these videos. It may not be, and I don't even want to use this as a comparison because I'm not even nowhere in the same, not league, but entertainment value as Mr. Big, Mr. Beast, or any of these other people who have millions of subscribers and they do this. I am not in that level, but you know what? It's a contribution. The return on investment that I get for putting these out and how much you guys contribute to me and how much you guys make me want to continue doing this and how happy you have told me that I make you is enough for me to feel that, you know what, this platform may never hit 1 million subscribers, but you know what, even if I stay at the little that I am right now, which I do appreciate every single one of you, what you guys bring to me is so much respect and love that I totally got what she said at that moment, even on rewatch. I'm like, damn it. As little as her column may be, it is a contribution. And so I need to respect that. I do. Because there's a lot of people who would never do anything like that. So from here on in, I'm going to try not to make any jokes about the Carrie. And I do think it's ridiculous that everybody knows her. I'm sorry, but that's just a little bit too much. But I do have a newfound respect for that. So as I'm also watching this, I'm realizing that the character herself is missing one important thing, and this is why she's so attracted to Valerie. It's the mom factor. She feels connected to her in a way, and that got me too as I was watching this, because I'm watching Valerie and I'm watching the conversation, and I can see her face, and it just reminded me of the fact that I know what that feels like. I know what it is to admire someone that was older, because I did have a mentor and I loved her very much. And the reason why she was my mentor is because I didn't have my mom. My mom had schizophrenia from way before I was even born. And, it was never caught. It was never diagnosed. And by the time she had my brother and I, my brother and me had my brother and I, well, the proper English for that. She had already gone through, and it was already out, and nobody in the family knew how to handle it. So I never really had a mom. I had bits and pieces of her when she was lucid, and those memories I keep, because those are things that, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. So I felt that from her. I was gonna try to get through this without crying. So there was one thing about this show that probably was one of the shortcomings. Let's bring the pun back in. I do feel that I do understand that they try to bring all the girls together and represent that, your family is who you love. But I did also want more family on their side. So when I saw Wesley and Leslie, and that fact that, Charlotte, that was the most important person to her, and we never see him again. We get the episode where, Miranda's mother dies and we find out that she has siblings. We know very little about Samantha. And I know that in the Carrie Diaries explains what happens to her dad. But, I just think that they could have done a good job trying to integrate or at least explain. Because this scene was very pivotal, because I got that from her. I felt that pain. That's why she's so attracted to Valerie. Okay. Now that we finished eating, and I'm not stuffed because I didn't get to eat a morsel of anything that I saw there. The next thing we have the meeting of the Wesley of what I thought was going to be the group. No, because Charlotte is out with Wesley at a bar, and she's very excited that he's going to finally meet her friend Carrie. And as Carrie starts to walk over to them with Samantha, she's like, oh crap. Apparently, when she had made the statement in the diner that she wanted all of them to meet him, it was specifically only Carrie. Because at one point she was going to have to introduce her to Samantha, no? So as they walk over, they're flirting. Well, not flirting, but you know how Samantha is. And Wesley asks, what kind of drink you want? He wants a cosmopolitan. And Charlotte is already, her horns are up. So she drags poor Carrie over to the side as Wesley gets the cosmopolitan for Samantha, leaving Samantha by herself. Okay. And she's asking Carrie, what is he doing? What is she doing here? She's like, hello. That's Samantha, our friend. You remember her, right? She goes, yes, but you know how Samantha gets, and I didn't want that. And she's like, well, what do you mean? She goes, well, she's doing it right now. She's talking to him. Okay. As Wesley comes over with the drinks, he's like, Samantha says there's a great jazz bar that we should all go to. And Charlotte's like, oh no, I can't. He goes, okay, so then maybe I'll go. And of course that infuriates Charlotte. Now, let me interject my saying, I love that Samantha loves jazz. We've been through this before. I really do. I want to go back to the Blue Note. You let me know who wants to come with me. Seriously, tell me. I'll meet you there. We'll do a meet and greet. Something cute. After the winter, because I don't go outside in the cold. I'm down. I would love to just sit there and just listen to jazz music. That's one thing that I really enjoy about Samantha, and she likes that. So the next thing we have is Miranda. Miranda is in bed with the day-old gum. I guess we've progressed in this relationship. As they are in bed, she has to utilize the ladies' room in the middle of the night, I guess. And she goes to use the bathroom, and the child tries to come into the bathroom. She pushes him and closes the door on his head. And as, he starts screaming, the dad comes out, and, she is wrapped in a towel because there's no trauma there. You just met this woman and you're introducing her to your girlfriend. And on top of that, she's staying over your house. How long have you been in this relationship? I'm sorry, but no. I'm not going to get into the logistics of that, but you could infer what you want. No, you don't know this person enough to be doing this, but that doesn't even cover half what the hell's going on here. Okay. Because apparently he got really hurt and she wants to put a Band-Aid, and he's like, no, he's going to need stitches. And she's like, okay, I'll come with you to the hospital. And he's like, the child's like, no. And the father says, just go. As he's hugging his child, who's over dramatizing the situation. And, one of the things Carrie says, that's the thing about family. If they don't regret you leaving, you're probably not going to want to be invited back, or you're not going to be invited back. Well, first of all, you shouldn't have been there. You couldn't take her to a hotel. You couldn't find a babysitter. What is happening? Who are you? Listen. Ooh, I want to say so many things that it's probably going to come out wrong, because I don't know who else is watching out there that may infer this differently. But unless you've been with someone for a very long time, and if you're a single parent or a parent, because you don't even have to be a single parent, hopefully you are single. You're not still married, dating. So let's infer that single parents means that you are really single, not just that you have a child. I don't think it is okay for you to be bringing people home when you have your child there that they just met and have relations. They just met at the gym, met at the park. He's beat her up twice, and now you want her to be there? Like, hasn't been months that this has been going on. Whatever happened to getting to know you first? And, as I think about it, he took her out in the park. I'm like, he doesn't have anybody to help him, which doesn't excuse the fact, because did you see his apartment? He has money. There's just something very off with this whole scenario. And I didn't like it. Probably this is the one part I didn't like about this whole thing. Okay? Okay. So the soup is boiling. Some of it has already spilled over onto the counter. Let's serve the soup. Part 3. They don't. Part 3. Let's get this soup served. The shortcoming soup. The next scene we have is Charlotte is greeted with Samantha scantily clad in a Duke t-shirt looking for coffee filters on a ladder with her legs out, and Charlotte is in shock, and Samantha's asking where does she keep her coffee filters, and Charlotte's like, my brother? You slept with my brother? And poor Samantha is like, oh yes, honey. Oh, let me just tell you. She's like, and Charlotte went off on her. Charlotte tells her in no uncertain terms, is your vajayjay in the New York City guidebook? Because it should be. It's the hottest spot in town. It's always opened. Oh my God, when I heard this, my blood pressure. Because that is like me saying that to one of my friends, though none of them were like Samantha, but that closeness, that broke my heart, and it broke Samantha's heart too, because I couldn't believe Charlotte said that. I mean, if you want to say it to someone that you don't have this special relationship with, I get it, but oh my God. So Wesley comes out and he's like, tries to kiss her, and she goes, what's going on? And Samantha storms out, good for her. And, Wesley's like, what happened? And Shaw's like, well, I don't know. I saw you in her t-shirt, saw her in your t-shirt, and I just lost it. And Wesley's like, who the hell are you to be in my business? Samantha got dressed and she runs out the door as Wesley tries to chase her. And I'm like, that's exactly what she should have done. Who the hell are you, Charlotte, to say something like that to your friend, Samantha? Okay? 2 years into the series, and I already knew that they already knew each other from before. Oh, that pissed me off. It doesn't get any better. Because now, the next scene we have is, even though I've served the soup and it's being served, we've got some of it still boiling in the pot, apparently, because now we have Vaughn and Carrie laying in bed, and, she's talking about how wonderful his mother is. And he's like, I don't really want to talk about my mother. Okay? And they're like, she's like, oh, so what do you want to talk about? And he tries to start again as she starts kissing him, and she tries to touch him, and apparently the soup runneth over again. He's still spilling himself over there on the pot. He can't control himself. Can I just say a couple of things? There was one part of the restaurant scene between her and Valerie that is part of why this is happening, okay? Because, Valerie had expressed to her that her kids can come and talk to her about anything, and that she raised her children to know about their private parts. It was never, a pee-pee and a wee-wee, they knew about their private parts, at a young age of 2 years old. So she tried to raise them to be as, sexually knowledgeable as possible, I guess, and, her daughter, when she came out to her as a lesbian, one of the things that she said was, as long as you're not a Republican. So in Valerie's mind, her kids can come and talk to her about anything. Does Carrie still have the business card of Dr. G? Because this guy needs a Dr. G for more than a year that the other guy that she jumped into bed with. He's got some serious problems. Okay? This was... So his soup is still boiling over. I'm trying to keep this as clean as possible. Metaphors, people. Metaphors. So as she gives him another box of tissues, she goes right back into discussing his mother, because what else is she going to do? Next scene, we have Wesley is back, and Charlotte is like, oh, honey, I'm glad you're back. And he's like, if you give me another freaking muffin, I'm out of here. And she's like, oh, honey, it's just that you don't know Samantha. I'm going to say this as calmly as I can. She has so many notches on her bedpost, it's almost whittled down to a toothpick. Again, you're talking about your friend, not just to her face now, but behind her back. Now, I want to be clear on this, okay? I may have my opinions on my friends and what they do, and some of them did some questionable things, but we kept it in the family. Okay. I would not go out. When I say family, I understand that that's her brother. Let's get into that for a second. Put that on the pocket over there. I wouldn't be saying that about my friends to somebody else. I will tell you to your face, like, you may need to slow it down a little bit, and I would use more respectful words than what the hell she's trying to say, especially with the, New York guidebook and the hottest spot in town. That's why I keep the friends that I do have close, because we know the lines and we don't try to draw over it. We just don't. I may not agree with everything that they do, nor that they agree with everything I do. They cannot understand why I have stopped dating. I'm like, really? Are you sure? But I don't agree some of the dates that they've had. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm sure. I do question your male picker. Okay. But I would not go around, even if it was to my brother, to say something like that. And let's get into the fact about this is a brother. Okay. I have a brother. He's my younger brother. Okay. I raised him. I could totally see him, and he has, tell people, my sister is a no. Don't look at her. Don't breathe in her direction. Don't even think about her. I don't want to know. He's a guy. I respect that. I haven't done that to him. I don't know. It's a guy thing. I get that. Now, if he was dating someone that's not in my inner circle, and I would see some of the things that she was doing, yes, I would say something. But not my two best friends. First of all, if you don't know them already, this is all because they don't know. We don't know who the hell Wesley is, and we never see him again. Oh my God, I can get into this for another hour, but I won't. So, as she is disrespecting Samantha again, okay, now this time behind her back, Wesley, she's like, well, listen, you've had your fun. Now you can go back to Leslie. And he's like, I'm not going back with Leslie, okay? Let me tell you about Leslie. You think you know Wesley and Leslie? This is hilarious. Leslie is frigid. Up until, the other night, I hadn't had sex for 2 years, and it finally hit Charlotte. Dre. She could sympathize. Thank God she sympathized, because if she didn't, I was going to go into the TV and smack her. And again, we hadn't met Trey yet, but at least she understood. And he's like, I went to a therapist, I went to a pastor, and until the other night when I saw Samantha, I didn't realize what I needed, which was sex. Poor man. And she's like, oh, so this was a good thing. And he's like, yeah, that's Samantha. You got one hell of a friend there. Oh, well, finally. All could have been cleared up with conversation, which Samantha tried, but, she threw the book at her. Mm-hmm. So the next thing we have is Charlotte is, walking around with a basket, and she's knocking on Samantha's door, and Samantha opens, and she's like, yes. She goes, I want to apologize. It was really mean what I said. And she goes, yes, it was. But I need to go because I have another tour group going through my vajayjay in 10 minutes. I love you. I love you, Samantha. She's hilarious. She really is. The way she delivers lines, amazing. And she's like, did you come to say what you had to say? She goes, yes. And she tried to close the door, and she brings up, Charlotte stops her, and she goes, I brought this for you. And she opens it up, and there's another basket full of muffins. And Samantha, loving, because she's human, and she's the heart of the show. And no matter what anybody else says, she's the reason why, a huge part of the reason why, and just like crap didn't survive. This is why. She looks at her, she laughs, she hugs her, and she knew that was Charlotte's way of saying, thank you for effing my brother. And she smacks her on her buttocks, and she invites her in to the one room shack that I still can't see because we never see Samantha's apartment. I just get to see another door. So that soup was served. Okay. And it was served done. Well done. Good. Ay, Señor de mi vida, caño de baño. Miranda's done. Miranda's had it. She's at the gym again. Everybody's with their New York Sports Club t-shirts, and it's kids days again, I guess. It happens to be weekly. She goes into the elevator. This time there's a female with a child, and the woman says, please don't touch that. And she's like, she really likes to touch the buttons. And Miranda's like, well, you know what? So do I. And she touched the button and the elevator closes. Now, it would have been more effective if the woman was a dad again. It would have hit a little bit harder, but I get what happened there. Mm-hmm. So, second bowl of soup served successfully. Let's try to reserve soup with Vaughn and Carrie. Let's see if the third time's a charm. So now this time, I guess they are in Carrie's bedroom and he's coming out of the bathroom and he's like, oh, you look so sexy. You're turning me on because you're reading my book. And, he's just flapping his lungs. And I'm like, where are we going with this, bro? We've tried this already twice. I don't see another tissue box anywhere nearby. I'm saying. And she's like, what? Me reading your book? He goes, yes. And she starts turning the page. He goes, oh, baby. So can I just interject here? Well, I'm not going to ask permission because you can't respond back. Here's the second thing I like about Carrie. Because the first part was when she was with Valerie and I felt that pull about the mom thing. I really do appreciate the fact that Carrie reads. She's not just writing, and we see this throughout the series, the movies. And just like that, I want to say I saw her reading books. I don't recall because I kind of blocked that series out, but I do appreciate the fact that she does actually read physical books. It's not just, it's okay if you read on your Kindle as well. It doesn't matter as long as you're reading. I really like that, because I think there's something missing in this day and age where people are just, consuming content that's video formatting and, we don't go back and AI and ChatGPT and we're not studying for tests anymore. Can we not talk about that right now? Because I can go on a rant for another 4 hours on that. Okay. There's one thing I do like about my son's girlfriend, and it's that she is an avid book reader. Physical books. My son created a book room for her in the house. So she has her own little book nook. And, she constantly likes to physically go out to Barnes and Nobles because we still have Barnes and Nobles in Long Island. And she'll go out there and she'll get books. Okay. They're all romance novels. That's okay. I can live with that. They're, she reads another, but the fact that she loves to read and she's in a book club and that she is actually, I think, part of a club that actually, reviews books and they love the way that she reviews the books. I'm so proud of her. I really am. And I admire that about her. And I admire that about Carrie. So when I see her with her books and stuff like that, it just always reminds me of my son's girlfriend. I'm like, I like that about her because at least she takes the time, in her busy schedule and she'll go into her little book nook and she'll pick out a book with all the books that they have on the wall and she reads. And I love that, so I appreciate that about Carrie. And I can appreciate Carrie when it's warranted. Don't judge me. Okay. So as they try, he sits down and, he starts to try to kiss her again. And this time Carrie's like, wait. Hold on. Let's take it slow. You tell me that if you get a little too excited and we can take it slow. He's like, what are you talking about? As if he's completely oblivious about the fact that he's used all her tissues in her tissue box. On top of that, she's like, it really makes me happy that you get so excited about me. First of all, that's not what's happening, Carrie, but good try. Good cover up. He's got a problem. Where's your Dr. G book? And, but I think that, we should talk about this. He's like, I don't want to talk about this. I've been talking about sex since I was 2 years old. That goes back to the Valerie issue where, when you try to do too much, you overcook the soup. Figure it out from there. What I'm trying to say, people. So he's like, come on, my parents are waiting for you. Macriado. Okay. Macriado is, with an attitude, with a tude. So the next thing we have is that we're in Vaughn's mother's house, Valerie's house, and Valerie is telling a story about when her and her husband went to the Neil Simon Playhouse to see a play of a British actress that was simulating a BJ on stage to a group of people that includes Carrie, her daughter, and her other daughter's girlfriend, who just met them as well. And, I'm not sure if this is proper conversation. I would find it weird too. What's going on with this family? Why? It's the obsession of sex. Why? Why? So as she's telling the story, you have Vaughn in the background looking for cream cheese because this is apparently the cream cheese, equivalent spread of, whatever Sunday dinner they're making. And he can't find it and he has an attitude, and she's like, it's out there. He goes, no, it's not. She goes, well, then check the fridge. Ugh. And, the father wants to know why he's so grumpy because he doesn't have sex. Honestly, are you really confused? I thought your kids could talk to you about anything. They're trying to figure it out. He comes back again. He goes, it's not there. She goes, well, I don't know. And, he goes back and he still has the attitude. Mm-hmm. He finally comes back and sits down and he's like, well, I don't understand why we have all this, food out if you can't remember the one most important thing, which is the cream cheese. This is all about cream cheese, people. He needs to cream his cheese, okay? He needs to put a lid on that one, okay? So, the mom is like, why don't you tell us what's really happening? And Carrie's like, oh my God, please God, no. He goes, fine. If you really want to know, it's not what it is. It's because I thought he was going to say, because he's been talking about it since he was a youngin'. And it's about the fucking cheese. Excuse my language. Ooh. And he throws the plate onto the table. And they all look at him. And finally, Carrie got the cojones, the bolas, the huspa, to say, I think I need to leave. Yeah, I'm going to leave. I have a deadline. And she looks at him and he just turns away. I'm like, what is wrong with you? So she gets up. She starts to walk out. Valerie comes back and tries to run after her. And she goes, don't leave. And she's like, what's wrong? She goes, I really can't talk about it. She goes, oh, don't worry. His other girlfriend wasn't so quiet about it. Okay. So as his mom, since you're able to talk about everything, you couldn't take him to a therapist? Really? And, she's trying to talk to Carrie about, his problems. And she goes, I really can't talk to you about your son's problems. And she goes, no, you could talk to me about anything. She goes, but he doesn't even want to talk to me about it. She goes, do you want me to go and talk to him? She goes, no. I'm like, oh my God. If I went to my son, I can't even go there. I can't. So as, she is trying to wean her over to stay, Carrie narrates that the one thing she realizes that she had to break up with Valerie. That's who she really needed to break up with. And she goes, I really can't make this work. And Valerie's like, but, sex is not important. 77% of marriages are sexless. What's important is family. Did she take a poll? Where did you find that information from? It's not that I don't find it hard to believe, but really? There's a lot of frisky people out there. That's 77% of marriages. That explains a lot. A lot. So, Carrie is like, she goes, I want us to be friends. She goes, Valerie's like, oh, well, what's going to happen when you find someone else and you don't want to talk to me anymore? She is going crazy over this girl. You're never going to find another mother like me. And she goes, I know. And I'll keep in touch. She's trying to get out of there like a bat out of hell. And she goes, I'll call you sometime. She goes, okay. And they hug it out. And Valerie is looking at her like she's never going to see her again. I'm beginning to think that she played it really well. Valerie, you know what? Kudos to Valerie Harper. I'm really happy I saw her, because again, I grew up on watching her as, Mary Tyler Moore's best friend and then Rhoda. And, I saw her in Dancing with the Stars and I know about her brain tumor and all that. And I was saddened when she passed away, but she lived a long time with it. It was really good to see her here, and I had really wished, to be honest with you, it would have been great if she would have come back in some capacity to give the solace to Carrie about the mother figure that she needed. But then when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, no, wait. She's a little too sexually open, that she needs a little bit more, 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 put the top on the soup. Put the top. I need to leave that boiling a little bit longer. She needs to go over there a little bit. So as Carrie walks out of the beautiful townhome, she narrates that, family is the most important thing. And it doesn't necessarily mean the family that you're born in. I'm just paraphrasing. It could be, sometimes family is a pain in the ass. Hello, yes. Sometimes it's, you don't always get along. Yes, hello, yes. And it's sometimes family is who you make it out to be, which she's walking in the street. And may I just say, wow. SJP looks phenomenal. This looks like another rendition of the naked dress, but a little bit less naked. And yes, I personally think SJP is a little too thin, but she looks beautiful. Okay. She has a little bit of a pooch, but she is not wearing any Spanx. I'm not even sure she's wearing underwear. And that's one thing most of us women wish we can do. Because even when I was at my thinnest and I was at my youngest, these bad boys, I could not go without underwear. It was never going to happen. I couldn't start a riot in the street. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? So I looked at her and her hair looked beautiful. Her skin looked great. And I was looking at her walking to the restaurant and she bumps into the friends, her girlfriends, and she knocks on the window. I'm like, you know what, SJP? There are times when she does really pull it off. And that dress, she looked amazing. She looked beautiful in that whole entire scene. And they all look and they all wave and they're like, come on in, and that's how the scene ends. She goes in and, she sits down with the girls and she's, telling them, they're probably asking what's happening with, Soup Shortcoming, Vaughn. And she's like, and Samantha was right. It was not going to work out. And that's how they end the scene. Your family. It's who it is that you consider family. Epilogue. You like that? Listen. Again, this was one of my favorites. For season 2, because there's more coming and there's more that I'm going to hate on. But this hit me hard because of the one thing that really hit me was definitely Charlotte and Samantha. I thought it was very, very disrespectful and very painful. I do like the fact that, she gave her another chance and that it really hit Charlotte what happened. She should have given her, the respect and not talk about her. If like she wants to throw that in her face, that's one thing, but to talk about her behind her back is way another level. Okay. It was nice to see some remnants of a family that we never see ever again, Wesley. And I really had wished that they had gone and taken this further because, she's had 2 marriages and I've never seen anybody, nobody, not even her parents. I don't even know what happened to them. Not that I recall. Maybe it happens in the weddings and I don't remember it because, the weddings for Trey were, the storyline was more about her and Aiden. And then when she got married to Harry, I don't remember hearing anything about it. It was more about her not wanting to fall off the chair. So, I think that they had something. I think the writing was really well done, especially the quips and the funniness and, the connection about wanting to be with family, though, Valerie's family turns out to be a little bit too close for shortcoming comfort. I do not find Justin Trudeau attractive at all. Again, there's pictures of him with, Jennifer when he's older, he looks better, but I didn't find him attractive at all. And he played the Soup Runneth Over rendition very well. I don't think we see him again, but he's successful now. He's a director. He's made other movies and he was married to Jennifer Aniston. So, okay, great. The heart of this show was always Samantha to me and how they wrote her and that whole missing factor. And they could have made a little bit more heartfelt and then just like crap. But as we all know, they completely stripped away any reference of family, love. That was not a family show. even with the stuff that Charlotte went through with Harry, which was the only family connection that was left, to be honest with you, when you think about it, I do appreciate when I look back at this and I look about what happened here and I think about what happened to her and just like crap, she made it work. You know, she stuck it out. Now, I don't agree how she raised her kids. The kids are just as bad as this little brat that, you know, Miranda has gone through. You know, she could have done better there. But you know what? She kept it intact. She's a housewife. You know, she's smart. Well, she does things. She cooks. I don't know if she has a maid, but I can see where her life is still almost the same, except for the whole storyline about everything else. Other than that, Miranda, again, I find it very ironic that she feels that, you know, somebody that has children is somebody else's gum, and we find out what happens with Miranda, even though, you know, through the birthing, the dating, married, divorce. I mean, people can feel how they feel. I could just tell you this much. Once you do have a child, you know, for us that do have one, even if you adopt, even if you have a pet, it changes you. There's no way it doesn't change you. Okay? It doesn't. That child and that parent and that father was to the extreme. Let's get real. It was extreme. Like, for real. First of all, you brought her to your house to have sex with her, with your child still there. Wrong. Wrong. I'm going to stand by my morals. Wrong. Okay? So I didn't like that storyline at all. The most heartfelt one was definitely Valerie Hopper Carrie, and the one with Samantha and Charlotte. And I found it, you know, very eye opening. And I don't think she ever does that again. I mean, she goes at her, but she doesn't do that to that extent. So these are now starting to come to the episodes that are more emotional, which is why I say, and just like crap, completely miss the mark, because it left the heart out, Samantha, and that whole way that she was written. Even if they were to bring Seema in, they could have done, the writing was the most pivotal part, and then the delivery, which is what Samantha was able to bring to the table. Okay. And that whole dynamic between them, once they start to get separated and they didn't include them again as the group, you know, and they tried to hodgepodge Seema and, you know, LTW, you know, Wilma Flintstone, there was something so vehemently broken in that group that not even Anthony could repair. And they never really took the look at what happened here and why everybody was so connected. And people go away, people pass away, people, you know, I'm still friends with my friends. And if any of them were to leave me, I will be hanging from the rafters screaming bloody hell. Yes. But I am prepared for the fact that one day something will happen, right? And you need to move on. And I would have been okay with it, just like crap, stipulating that they needed to move on from Samantha. But then where's the heart of the rest of them? And that is what happened. You know, it's like we got the Cowardly Lion and the Tin Man, because I just reviewed Wicked for Good. So I'm still in that motif in my head. Sorry. So tell me how you felt. Tell me if this resonated with you. This is one of my top favorites. I am going to give you which were my, let's pick what you want. Top three. Let's do top three, because I think that's easier. Between season 1, and then I'll tell you season 2. And as we go into the further seasons, by the end of each season, we'll pick and vote. Okay. I want to thank everyone that is watching. Yay. Thank you for putting up with me and my grumpiness in my last video. I'm so sorry. I was grumpy and I'm still a little grumpy, but I'm a little happier because I love you guys. And I love the love that you give back. Love to love you, baby. Ooh. Did you think I was going to stop singing? Come on. Let's be real. Thank you for all checking out my store, Timeless New York City. Here's my other t-shirt. Hope you guys take a look at it and my other merch. And if you want to let me know how, if you order any of them, if any of them come to you and how they come to you, I would appreciate it. My Patreon is linked in the comment below and in my description on my YouTube page. Please go over there and, you know, join. I would love to be able to have more one-on-one conversations with you. I think this is an email thing, so you would have to give me your email. Number 2, I got hyped by this one. And I didn't even understand how any of that worked. I got notification, and I want to personally thank you. And I also want to ask you, can you explain to me how this works? I don't understand. Can you write in the comments how hypes work? Because I got a notification that you hype me. I don't know how, I was like, what? It was so moved. I was like, and I started checking that hype thing on the YouTube thingy, and I don't understand what I'm looking at. Like, but I appreciate, and when you get a chance, can you go in and explain to us how this works, please? For us that don't understand. So, thanks. And, and everyone, I want to be very clear on something. Um, I'm going to need first names because some of the handles that you guys have, I cannot verbally say thank you because I don't know how to, I don't understand the name. I tried to put it into Google Translate and it just came out. Y'all know who you are. Okay. The ones that I can pronounce: Beverly, Pappy, long stocking. You know who you are. Susan, MJ. Those are the ones I can remember now. I'm going to need first names. When you start answering me, can you please tell me, hey, my name is, with a real name, please? Or you can go to my Patreon and tell me your real name over there, and you don't have to let everybody know on YouTube. That's how Patreon works, I think. Check it out. So I want to thank everyone. Also, today is Tuesday. I'm recording. This should go up Wednesday. And that means Thursday is Thanksgiving. And I was invited to my BFF's house for Thanksgiving. So one of my BFFs. So I will not be, maybe I'll say hello for Thanksgiving, just a short or something like that. So I want to tell me what you guys are doing for Thanksgiving. I really want to know. So tell me, drop a comment down below, because then the next video will probably be Friday, Saturday. And in between my rant of what I've experienced in CVS. So tell me what you're doing for Thanksgiving. Are you traveling? Are you going? Are you crying? Because I know some people suffer. Tell me. Give me first names so I can understand who the hell I'm talking to. If not, go to my Patreon and tell me what your first name is, but I won't tell anybody. Tell me how you felt about this video. And I want to thank everyone from here to around the world that I reach. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Thanksgiving, family. Even if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, give thanks. Weekend, and I will see you soon. Have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed day. Thank you. Goodbye.